Uh, I am continuing our series this week talking about and today we're going to be talking about mastering stress management, and I'm going to be sharing with you some techniques so that you can create a resilient mindset so that you can overcome stress. Because look, let's face it, we all experience stress, whether it be in small amounts or large amounts on a consistent basis. And it's really important for us to be able to have ways to overcome the stress or combat the stress so that you don't find yourself in a place of burnout. And speaking of burnout, I want to invite you to join me on August the 9th. I'm hosting another segment of Breaking the Burnout Cycle. It's a free webinar. You can go to breakingtheburnoutcycle.com. I'll go ahead and drop that link here. Give me one second. But yeah, you can go ahead and oh, here we go. You can go ahead and go to breakingtheburnoutcycle.com and register for free. There is an upgrade available if you want to get the workbook, the companion workbook, and get access to the replay for a very low dollar amount. So definitely want to invite you to join me for that if you are feeling like you are on the verge of burnout or feeling overwhelmed by the stress that you have in your life. And if you are tuning in with me live, please go ahead and say hello, drop in the comments where you're tuning in from, and just say hi. Let me know that you are here. If you are watching the replay of this, do the same thing. Hit me with the hashtag replay in the comments. I do like to go back and respond to all of the comments on any live stream that I do. So feel free to go ahead and hit that hashtag replay. Speaking of which, I do like to engage and interact with you all. So if you have questions or comments, please feel free to drop those as we go throughout the session or out this live stream today. I have a ton of notes, a ton of content to cover, but I really am most concerned about getting to you the information that is most crucial and most important to you. So if you are joining me for the first time and you're like, who the heck is this woman showing up on my timeline or in my feed? I am Coach Trasetta in Washington. I am the CEO and founder of Profitable Productivity. And what I do is partner with women executives to help them have it all without sacrificing the things that matter most to them. And I do this through a process of what I call balanced ambition, where I marry together both time management skills and productivity strategies with self care so that you can create, like I said, what I call balanced ambition. All right, so let's go ahead and enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about mastering your breast. Ooh, getting tongue tied. Mastering stress management on today. And before we can really talk about how we master stress management, I think it's really important for us to have a common understanding of what stress actually is and the impact that it can have on both our physical and mental well being. So, I'm going to read for you this definition really quick. Stress can be defined as the body's natural response to any demand or challenge that requires us to adapt or cope, right? So it is a physiological and psychological reaction to being triggered by various different situations, both positive and negative, right? So these are things that we would encounter in our day-to-day lives. And when we experience stress, our body starts to release hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which essentially prepares us for what it perceives as a threat or some sort of demand. So think fight or flight, right? So when we are in prolonged states of stress or fight or flight, our body, well, let me say it this way. our bodies were never designed to maintain high levels of cortisol and adrenaline in our bodies. The fight or flight response is intended to save us from whatever the situation is and then return to a normal state, to a homeostasis, to a normal level, right? But when we are experiencing stress on a consistent basis, then we stay there, and and it can have some really negative effects on both our physical body and on our mental well-being. And some of those things that um, some of the things that can happen as a result are you can find yourself dealing with a lot of muscle tension and pain. I know for me, for years, I used to get really bad tension headaches, and it would start in my shoulders and move up my neck into the base of my skull and would last for weeks, sometimes even months, right? And definitely not fun. Headaches, you can have digestive issues. That's why people end up having ulcers and things of that nature when they're under heavy amounts of stress. It can weaken your immune system because you've got all of that cortisol and that adrenaline, those hormones racing through your blood, which are not supposed to be at those levels. And it could also really disturb your sleep. How many, raise your hand in the comments? Let me know if you have experienced any type of trouble sleeping, either getting to sleep or staying asleep just because you were stressed out and your mind is racing, right? Your mind is just going, going, going. On the mental side of things, stress can create anxiety. It can actually create depression. It can cause you to have mood swings and be very irritable. It can keep you from being able to focus or being able to concentrate on the things that you're working on. It can even cause some memory issues where you struggle to remember things. And it's really important to note that stress affects each of us differently, right? So each one of us may have a different response to stress. And some people may be able to bounce back from stress more easily than other people. But it's important to note that chronic stress and or excessive levels of stress can have this cumulative negative impact on both our physical and mental well-being, which is why it's so important for us to learn how to effectively manage stress in our lives. So, how do we do it? How do we do it? I'm going to share with you some ways. I've got 4 techniques that we're going to cover today on how you can start to manage your stress in a way that is keeps it at a healthy level where it doesn't negatively impact you. Um, but some of the reasons why it's important for us to be able to manage our stress in order for us to create this really healthy work-life balance, or that balanced ambition that I talked about, is because stress really has a huge negative impact on our lives, not just our physical being and our mental well-being, but just our lives overall, right? So we already talked about how when you are under extreme stress or chronic stress, it has some really negative impacts. But when you are able to manage it, there's some serious benefits that come along with that, right? So if you've been, especially if you've been in a place of excessive stress, you can start to see improvements in your physical and emotional health or well-being as a result of reducing your stress, because prolonged stress can really lead to various physical problems like cardiovascular disease, digestive diseases, and that weakened immune system that I mentioned earlier. But you can reduce that by going through the process of negating or reducing your stress levels. By overcoming stress or managing your stress, you can increase your productivity and focus. Excessive stress can really impair your cognitive function, which makes it very difficult to concentrate and be productive. But by managing stress, we can think more clearly and make better decisions. Also, be more efficient in our work and our personal tasks. It can also help to improve your relationships, right? I mentioned earlier how high levels of stress can lead to mood swings or irritability. Um, and we all know that those things can start to strain your relationships with your family, with your friends, and even your colleagues. But if you are able to manage stress, you can communicate more effectively and maintain healthier connections with people. It can enhance your job satisfaction. It can give you more time for self-care and joy and fulfillment. You can get better sleep and also increase your resilience. So overall, managing stress, it's not about eliminating all stress from our lives because that's just not impossible. It's not realistic. Because at some level, stress is kind of inevitable, but it's more about finding healthy coping mechanisms to balance things out so that stress doesn't get to the point where it overwhelms us. Right. So I want to share, before I get into the 4 techniques, I want to share with you just a few statistics so that you have an understanding of the gravity of the impact that stress, excessive stress, or high levels of stress can have on you. Um, so, one statistic is from the Enter Heart study, which involved 52 different countries. And they found that individuals with high levels of job related stress had a 25% higher risk of heart attack, right? Chronic stress has been long associated with increased risk for developing cardiovascular disease. So, when you are dealing with high levels of stress, you are more at risk for having a heart attack. Matter of fact, had a call with a client a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the things that I said to him. He was sharing me all the different things that he was doing and how little sleep he gets and how he doesn't eat well. And I had to literally look him in the face and say, if you do not do something different, you will not be here. And that's just the truth, right? The World Health Organization estimates that approximately 264 million people worldwide suffer from depression, which is often exacerbated by stress. And according to a report by the National Institute for Mental Health, prolonged stress can lead to the development or exacerbation of mood disorders. So things like major depressive disorder or just generalized anxiety disorder. And then in the workplace, according to the American Institute of Stress, work-related stress costs US here in the US costs US businesses approximately $300 billion per year because of absenteeism, reduced productivity, and then just simply the expenses of healthcare related to stress related issues. And then finally, a survey that was done by Gallup found that 23% of employees, this is in the US as well, 23% of employees report feeling burned out at work very often or always. And then an additional 44% feel burned out sometimes. Let me know in the comments, let me know in the chat if that's you. How often would you say that you feel burned out? Have you ever felt burnt out? And two, if you have, how often have you felt burned out? I'd love to know that. Let me know in the chat, in the comments. I guess I should pull up the comments so I can actually see. All right. All right, so let's get into it. I've shared all the grim and gory details of why it's important for you to manage your stress or master stress management. Now I want to arm you. I want to equip you with some techniques or some tools, some strategies that you can use to overcome stress to begin with, right? The first one that I'm going to share, like I said, I have four. The first one I'm going to share is mindfulness and meditation. If you've been following me any length of time, this is something that I talk about regularly, right? Mindfulness and meditation are really powerful practices that can help to effectively reduce stress and promote these these overall feelings of well-being. It can really help you to develop a greater awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, and what's happening physically in your body, the different sensations that you're having in your body, because it allows you to, which then allows you to respond to the stressors with a sense of calm and a sense of clarity. Now, there are a ton of benefits of using or using mindfulness or doing mindfulness practices and meditation practices like stress reduction. It can help to improve your emotional regulation. It can increase your focus and your concentration. You can get better sleep, and then also increase your resilience. Just a few really simple mindfulness exercises that you could do. You could do mindful breathing. I like to do deep breathing exercises. You could do a body scan, and mindful eating. You could. I don't want to go in too much detail about these different techniques that I'm sharing or these exercises that I'm sharing. Just go Google. If you're not familiar, just go Google them, and I'm sure you'll be able to find some guided practices to walk you through how to do each of these. Then, from a meditation perspective, you can do guided visualizations. You can do a deep breathing meditation, which is very similar to the mindful breathing. And then there's also like a loving kindness. There's all different types of meditations. Just go to YouTube and put in guided meditations, and you will find a plethora of them. And you can even look for specific things that are challenging you right now. You can look for that specific topic, like guided meditations for stress, guided meditations for sleep. There's all different types out there, and you can just find one that fits for you. There's also a couple apps. The two ones that I'm mostly familiar with are Calm and Headspace. Both of those have guided meditations as well that can help you to start on this journey or start the practice of meditation. The second technique is probably fairly obvious to you, which is to utilize time management. How about knocking my mic over here? Time management and prioritization. When you use your time effectively, you can really start to reduce your stress levels and maintain a healthy work life balance. Because what happens is it gives us this sense of control over the things that we need to get done, over all of the tasks, over all of the responsibilities. And as a result, that leads to increased productivity, reduced pressure, and it just improves your overall well-being. So, a few just kind of practical tips for prioritizing your task or managing your workload, is to set clear goals, right? Have very clear goals of what you want to achieve, not just, excuse me, annually, but for the quarter, monthly, weekly, and even daily goals. One of the things that I do is at the beginning of the day, I have I do my daily planning and I establish what my priorities are for the day. So I have my MITs, my three most important things that I need to accomplish for the day. And those are the things that I focus on first before moving on to any other auxiliary things that need to be done. Right. So get very clear about what your goals are. Create a to do list. If you have a really long to-do list, go through and prioritize those tasks. Determine the things that are most important and focus on what's most important, and then, kind of rank them and then go from the most important to the least important through your list. Use time blocking. I love I love using time blocking. My schedule framework that I use on a weekly basis, I'll see if I can pull it up here on my phone, um, is color coded. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but anyway, let's see. So it's color coded, right? So you can see all the different colors for the activities that I need to do, right? So that's just my framework. And then what I do is I go in and fill in that time with I go and fill in that time with a specific task that I want to complete during that time frame, right? That's called time blocking. Minimize distractions, right? So right now my phone is on do not disturb because I don't want to be interrupted while I'm here doing this live stream with you. I have my door closed because I work from home and I take care of my father who has dementia. So having the door closed gives me a barrier so that one, I'm not disturbed by him watching TV or whatever it is that he's doing on the other side of the house. And it's a notice to him that I'm busy, that I'm not available to chat or do whatever, you know. Then learn how to say no. You don't have to say yes to everything. Break tasks down into smaller steps. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied today. Right? Take these big projects or big tasks that you need to complete and break them down into smaller bite-sized pieces. I love to use this analogy and say this all the time. There's that adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you want to take that big thing, break it down into small bite-sized pieces. Like, you know, if it's really big like an elephant, maybe you say, okay, well, I'm going to take the tail, right? I'm going to take this one project, which is still kind of large, but then you got to still break it down into bite-sized pieces that you can actually chew, that you can actually get done, right? When you sit there and look at an elephant or a large project or a big task that you need to complete, it can be overwhelming. By breaking it down into smaller bite-sized pieces, it makes it easier for you to tackle it, because now you're like, oh, it's not this big, huge, overwhelming thing. It is, oh, I could do that. It's something small, right? Use time management techniques, delegate wherever possible. If you can delegate it, delegate it. Also, I want to also add here, you might even need to delete some things. Some of the things that we have on our calendar or the things that we say that we want to do or need to do don't really necessarily need to be done. So sometimes you just need to delete it altogether. Also, make sure that you practice self care. I preach self care all the time. Matter of fact, I'm recording this live on a Tuesday, which is my self care day. I have a date with myself every Tuesday evening where I do an aromatherapy bath. I go and I run me some bath water, put some aromatherapy, some essential oils into the water. I light candles, put on some soft music, and then I do a mud mask and I just get in the tub and soak and just relax and let all my stress, all my worries, everything just kind of melt away. And it is time that I've dedicated just for me, right? So find ways to incorporate self care. And then also reflect and adjust. Things aren't going to always go the way you anticipate them to go. Yes, I have a schedule framework, but it doesn't always work. So sometimes I need to make adjustments to the way that I do things or the way that I have my schedule built out, right? All right. The third technique is, guess what? Self-care and well-being practices. Self-care is really a fundamental aspect of managing and reducing stress levels. One of my business friends always says your level of stress, or excuse me, your level of self-care must match or exceed your level of stress, right? And in order for you to do that, in order for you to make sure that you are meeting or exceeding your level of stress with your self care, you've got to be intentional, right? You've got to have that intentionality about taking time to nurture your physical, your emotional, and mental well being. By prioritizing self care, you're really going to equip yourself with the resilience that you need in order to navigate all of the different challenges and struggles that life can throw your way. Because listen, let's face it, life be life in sometimes, right? And so by by prioritizing self-care, you can navigate all those things and also create a healthy balance between your work life and your personal life. So just a few self-care practices um, that help to promote relaxation, rejuvenation, and just overall well-being are one we've already talked about, mindfulness and meditation. It can be physical exercise, whether it's going for a walk or even going, doing a more going to the gym and lifting weights or doing something there, or even taking some sort of aerobic class or some sort of physical exercise class, right? Getting quality sleep, right? Creating some habits around or rituals around going to bed so that you signal to your body that it is time to shut down. It's time to go to sleep, right? Making sure that you have the temperature in your home set at a level um, that is good for rejuvenating sleep, right? Because what happens is this is kind of a little sidebar. Our body temperature rises at night because our body systems slow down so that we can go through our bodies can go through the restoration process, and as a result our body temperature rises. So we need the temperature in our homes cooler at night than we would during the day so that we can be cool enough to actually enjoy our sleep. Journaling, making sure that you sit down and get out of your head what what is in there onto paper. I always say that on paper, off the mind. On paper, off the mind. By writing things down, by journaling, you are giving voice to your thoughts, to your fears, to your emotions. And what you're essentially doing is processing what is going on in your brain. And as soon as you process it, then you're able to move forward onto the next thing. If you don't allow yourself to process all of the emotions or all of the things that are going on in your mind, then what ends up happening is it stays there, right? It kind of stays there nagging you throughout the day or for weeks until you actually deal with it, right? So journaling is a really great way to get those things off of your mind. Doing some sort of creative expression like painting or creative writing or doing some sort of craft. I used to have a furniture refinishing business, and that was one of the things that it started out as a hobby because I just enjoyed the process of taking something that was old and worn and tattered and bringing it back to life, giving it new life, either giving it new life or giving it a new purpose, right? Also disconnecting from technology, turning those ringers off, right? Putting some boundaries around our ability to be accessed by other people. Spending time in nature. I am a beach girl. I live on the beach. And so I'm always trying to get to a large body of water. I'm trying to get to the ocean as often as possible because that is something that helps to relax and rejuvenate me. But it could be for you, it might be the mountains, it might be going on a hike, it might just be going to a local park or walking around your neighborhood or sitting in your backyard. It doesn't matter. Getting out in nature, there's just something about being in creation that helps to calm our nerves, calm our anxiety. Um, Also, nurturing those social connections, getting offline and in person and spending time with real human beings in live and in person. Also being gentle with yourself and giving yourself some unplanned downtime, right? The other day I was working and I had some things that I really wanted to accomplish, and my body was like, ma'am, I need to lay down. I need a nap. I was just really tired. And it was because I had done so much work. I had been like going at it for 4 days, and I was still trying to push through. And my body was like, no, ma'am, I need a nap. And so I went and, I gave myself permission to go without guilt to go lay down and take a nap. And then I just got after my nap, I got up and I was rejuvenated. I had more energy and I was able to complete the tasks that I said that I wanted to get done. Yes, I had to work a little bit later than I had originally planned, but I gave my body what it needed at the time. Also, making sure that you're eating healthy foods, not overcommitting yourself when, saying no, and not overcommitting yourself to things that don't really align with your priorities. And then also the practicing the um, mindful breathing. Don't forget, self care is not selfish. I'm going to say that again. Pause for effect and say that again. Self care is not selfish. It is absolutely essential for your overall well being. So make sure that you're doing things to incorporate these practices into your daily routine, even if it's just for a few minutes every day, right? You need to be consistent in it, and it will have a positive ripple effect over all aspects of your life and really enable you to manage your stress more effectively. And then the last technique is to adopt some healthy coping mechanisms, right? They can really significantly impact how you handle stress and the impact that it could possibly have on you. So there's numerous ways that you can manage stress and promote well-being and work-life balance. Here's just a few. Just pick one or two or three that really resonate with you and start implementing it. The exercise and movement, journaling, doing some sort of hobby, practicing mindfulness or meditation, taking naps. I'm here for all the naps, right? Getting some quality sleep, taking naps, connecting with nature, um, seeking support from the people that you love and care about, doing deep breathing exercises, setting some boundaries around your technology. One of the things that I have in place is that my phone automatically goes on do not disturb at 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. so that I don't have to worry about. I mean, I keep my ringer off anyway, but still, I don't have to worry about bells, dings, whistles, vibrate, even my phone vibrating, or even calls coming in after 10 p.m. and disrupting or disturbing my sleep, right? So set some sort of boundaries around technology, not just to do not disturb, closing out of your email, or even taking your work email off of your phone altogether. There's all different types of ways that you can limit your technology. Practice gratitude and also give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. Be compassionate towards yourself. Keep in mind that coping mechanisms are very personal. And what works for one person may not necessarily work for another person. That's why I said choose something that resonates with you. Try it out. If you've never done some of these things that I mentioned, try them out. See if it works. If it doesn't, no muss, no fuss. Don't worry about it. Move on to the next thing. Find what works for you and do more of that, right? What I'm trying to do here is build a toolbox. Like I'm always talking about a toolbox, right? My job is everyone has this toolbox, and my job as a coach is to fill up your toolbox with different types of tools that you can pull out for different scenarios, for different situations, um, so that it actually works for you. That's all I've got for today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the comments. While you're doing that, I want to again invite you to join me for my upcoming webinar, Breaking the Burnout Cycle. And I'm going to drop that link again. Let's see. Drop the link, breakingtheburnoutscycle.com. This is precisely if you've been dealing with massive amounts of stress or feel like you're on the verge of burnout, this is precisely what you need in order to understand stress and get some practical guidance on how you can reduce the impact of stress in your life. So, um, during the webinar, we're going to dive deep into a wide range of stress management techniques that really can empower you to build resilience and create a more balanced life. Whether you're navigating high demands at work, juggling personal commitments, or just kind of feeling the weight of the emotional labor, then this webinar is tailored just for you. So if you attend, you're going to gain in-depth knowledge of the science of stress, the impact that it has on your well-being, how to effectively combat it. We're going to go much deeper than what I did today and into some other aspects of burnout. So don't miss this opportunity to equip yourself with the tools and the knowledge that you need in order to thrive in the face of stress. I encourage you to register right now and take that first step towards a happier, healthier, and more balanced you. All right, let me get back over here in the comments and see if we have any questions. I don't see any questions, but I do see this comment. I think it's Kareen. Is it Kareen? Is it Carrie? No, Kareen Aneto. She said, I keep forgetting to do mindful breathing. Yeah, it's really funny because I feel like we hold our breath a lot and that we don't necessarily do deep breathing. Like our breath is really shallow on a regular basis. And so taking the time to even just 3 or 4 really deep diaphragmatic breaths can help to abate stress. I know one of the things that I do with my coaching clients when we first get after we say hellos and our pleasantries, the next thing that I have them do before we start working together is we do a deep breathing exercise to help kind of bring them into the room to kind of help center them from because you're coming out of doing other things, right? So most of the time they're at work and maybe they came out of a meeting or they were working on something or stuff has been happening all around them, and then they come in and get in the room with me, the Zoom room with me, and so I want to give them an opportunity to make that mental transition, the mental and emotional transition from whatever it was they were doing beforehand into the space that they can be fully focused, right? And deep breathing can do that. So not only does it help to reduce stress, but it can really help to regulate you and kind of calm you down because we're like going busy, 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 busy. And the deep breathing can kind of really help to center you and bring you back into the space. So thank you for that comment. Well, I don't see any questions or any other comments. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will be back next week. Let me see if I can. I don't remember what my topic is. Let me see if I can look it up, what my topic is for next week. And it's the last of this series, although I will probably Um, I'll probably continue going live, but it'll be the end of this series. Oh, the next week is unleashing your ambition. Right. So we're going to dive into strategies to achieve your goals, right? And actually maintain that ambition, the high level of uh, ambition that you have, but doing it without sacrificing your well-being in the process. So it's going to be good. It's going to be juicy. I promise you. So join me back here next week, same time, same place. And we're going to talk about unleashing ambition. Hope you have an amazing day. Make sure that you register right here. Let's do it this way. Register right here for Breaking the Burnout Cycle webinar at breakingtheburnoutcycle.com. Bye for now.